All right, guys, I'm going to start recording and get us going since we've got a lot of things to cover. This is our first, I'm going to mute everybody, but if you want to talk, just let me know or unmute yourself, just so it's quiet. Um, okay, so we've got a lot of things to cover because this is one of our first, hey Sylvia, one of our first office hours that we've had for many months. As you guys know, a lot of the community team has transitioned this year. Most of us have been getting up to speed for the past couple months, getting everything down pat with our chapters, and we're really growing a lot too. So excited to have our first office hours here again in August, and we'll plan to have this every month from now on, and typically the last week of the month. So at the end of our session today, I'll let you know the date for the next one, and we'll be sending out an invite soon for that. So to begin, hopefully you guys have already seen this via email or on Slack. Sadly, one of our chapter directors in Mogadishu, Ethiopia, passed away earlier this year. And so Mohammed's sister has been planning a memorial service along really with Bruce and Derek that will take place tomorrow. So if any of you are interested in participating in that, it'll be 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I think everybody should have received a link for that. But that's happening tomorrow, and we will be live streaming it on our YouTube channel, on the Startup Grind YouTube channel. Any questions about that? No? Okay. Next, oh yeah, Chris does. Okay, hold on, Chris. Let's get you going. What's up, Chris?
All right. The email that came out said 10.
Yeah, it's actually 9. I think we just got messed up with the time difference.
Okay, so it's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
9 a.m. Good catch. Next order of business is the rest of the year plan. So every year at the beginning of the year, we publish our goals for each month. And you guys have probably seen that, where May is Female Founders Month, August was Blockchain Month, et cetera, et cetera. But we know there's a lot of new people that are jumping on board, or maybe you don't know that we have that yearly plan. So I want to send you guys the link to that so you can always see that. But heads up, I'm going to share this in the chat. This is our rest of year plan. So in October, we are doing SG 300. So this is where we want to have 300 events going on in the month of October. I think you guys can do it. Who's going to have an event in October? Raise your hand. That's right. I'd love to see that. Okay, so we're going to get to 300 because you guys are kicking ass. We are going to have art assets coming in the first week of September for that. So check help.startupgrind.com when you search for art assets or graphics. We will have those out just next week. As for November, this is Startup Grind. We're partnering with the Global Entrepreneurship Week. So this is in between November 12th and 18th. And our goal, what is that, Jose? Awesome. We would love to have everybody host their event during that week. All of our Startup Grind chapters between November 12th and 18th, just to support global entrepreneurship. Next in November, we've got 2 regional conferences. So this is not as easy for our region of the world to attend, but they're both happening in Europe and Africa. So we've got the Barcelona conference happening on November 13th and 14th. It's a regional conference with Alex. And then Hanane is hosting her conference in Casablanca, November 28th and 29th in Morocco. So if you are digital nomads and traveling all over the world and can make it to one of those should be some really, really amazing events. For December, that is always when we have our Startup Grind end of year party. So very similar to the summer months when we have a summer party, feel free to have a party in December, where it's typically one of the slower months. So a great way to bring your community together for just a great way to celebrate all that you've done throughout the year. And I see, Wanma, your hand is is up. What is up, Juanma?
Hi, how are you? So
Good.
nice.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. We're expecting to have our first chapter here in Guatemala in October because we were setting things up and everything in September, and we are making everything to happen in October.
That's awesome. Really happy to hear about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cool. So lastly, we've got another regional conference happening in December. That's with APEC. So that will be December 6th and 7th. Who knows? Maybe one of us could go to that too. But next year, we'll have our global conference. You guys should all know about that. That's in February 2019. And we'll have another regional conference in our region. That would be in Mexico City, I think in March of next year. So just some things for you to be thinking about. Okay, any questions on the rest of the year plan?
I have one, Candace.
Yeah, sure, Bruno, go.
We have the year plan for the next year. We already thought about it on the headquarters.
No, not yet, but we will be planning that here in the next few months and sending that out in advance. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Probably by like October, November timeframe, so you can plan for early next year.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay. All right, so one thing you guys may have seen that we're starting as well is new cohort calls. So we just did our first month with all of the new chapter directors that were onboarded in July. We had their first cohort call in August. And the goal of this is that we really want to start creating that global community and those global connections and relationships that for so many of us we hold so dear after we've gone to the global conference, but that we would be facilitating those relationships throughout the year, not just every February or every June in London. So our next cohort call will be, it's usually like the second week of the month to get everybody that was in the month prior. So if any of you guys are interested in sitting in on those just as a veteran to kind of help the newbies or answer any questions they have, that would be awesome. Just let me know. I know Sylvia, you volunteered to do that. Thank you so much. Hopefully we can have you in. Chris, you're interested too? Awesome. Okay. So that'll be in a few weeks. I'll send an email out about that. Next on the list is Global 2019. How many of you are planning on coming to Global? That's awesome. 2 hands in the air. Freaking love it. Okay. Juanma, your hand is in the air. Boom. Lakeisha, nice. So happy to have you guys there. That's great. Okay. So for most of you that have, a lot of you, I think, have been there, but for those of you that haven't, the global conference for so many directors, when they finally go to it, is that pinnacle moment where you realize the real power of this community. And so all of you are grinding month over month, creating amazing events in your communities, bringing in top-notch speakers, creating lots of movement and energy around these monthly events. And sometimes that can be a lonely road and be a lot of work. And so when you come to Global, you realize, wait, there's crazy people just like me doing the same thing all over the world, and they're also kicking ass everywhere. So this is where your network goes way beyond just your local community, but really grows to this global network of friends. And you guys know it. We say it all the time. It's super cliche, but it's super true. It's the Startup Grind family. And I know a lot of my good lasting friends have come from this global conference. So not only will you meet amazing people, but we have the 2-day conference. You guys all get to come for free for that. And that is just an amazing event with top-notch thought leaders in venture capital and entrepreneurship, startups, innovation, creativity, latest technology trends, all of that's happening. But then 2 days after the conference itself is the Director Summit. And that's where all of you get to come together for 2 days and learn from one another and really just have fun. And so it's our way to give back to you, because without our directors, Startup Grind would not be this amazing growing community that we are. So it's really our chance to just celebrate all the hard work you guys are doing with some really fun events. Most of the community team, we are slightly addicted to karaoke, so there may be a karaoke event one evening. I take it Sylvia is too. So just a great thing to look forward to. I want to send you guys, have any of you seen the link to our video, our global conference video from last year? Okay, I'm going to send it over here because it's really amazing. And most of you are in it, or some of you on the call. Check that out. If you're on the fence about whether you should attend, watch that video. You'll see why you should. It's just incredible. One thing that we started in June at the London conference is the Startup Nation Symposium. And this started over a conversation with some of our chapter directors that were saying that Startup Grind is really like the United Nations of startups. And so many of us were working with our local countries, our local city governments, our state governments, as we're trying to expand the power of our entrepreneurial communities all over the world. And so we wanted to kind of play around with that and have a day at the London conference in June where we brought together those countries that are doing it really well. So we had Estonia on the stage. We had the country of Georgia on the stage, some folks from London there to talk about how governments and startup communities can partner and help each other more. So we're going to do that again, hopefully at a larger scale at the global conference. That will probably be on the day before the conference itself on that Monday. So be thinking of that now. I know, Chris, you're starting to have some of those conversations with folks in Maryland. For those of you in the US, it's probably not going to be at a national level. It'll probably be at a city or state level. But for those of you in different countries, perhaps you can be starting to have some of those conversations with delegates that might be interested in participating in the conference, sponsoring part of the conference, exhibiting or sharing the amazing things that they're doing with startups in their region. So be thinking of that now. Juanma, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Your
Thank
hand's
you.
just raised on here. Just want to check. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, lower hand. Sorry.
No worries. Okay, any questions, guys, about the global conference? Gregory, talk to us.
I just wanted to, not necessarily about the global conference, is that maybe we can kind of single out some of the smaller cities in the U.S. or smaller countries that are getting started, because I come from a smaller city of 300,000, so I know all the big cities. You know, I've lived in San Francisco, Berlin, etc. So if I was in these markets being chapter director, obviously I'd get more hype, I get more people coming, but it'd be good, like, if we are that family, to show all these little cities are also important too. Because I noticed last year was a lot of focus on, yeah, we're the biggest city, etc. But it'd be kind of nice just to kind of like even that hierarchical thing down, because we're all given 100% effort here, no matter what size of a city we have. And we can only pull in so much dependent on the size of the city, dependent on the infrastructure of cities or countries. So I think it's always nice to keep that in mind, just to say it, because I did get this feeling I'm going to be coming up on the 1 year mark here. Nice. And yeah, sometimes you get that feel like, okay, you're just a little city, and I understand we don't pull in as much money as maybe Israel or Berlin or London or whatnot. We're all trying to do our best here. So I hope
I can relate to that, and I appreciate
the global conference. That's all.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So, I mean, that's the thing about Startup Grind, is that everybody's welcome to the table, right? No matter what size your city is, whether you're at a university or a huge city or a small city, and all of us have different challenges that we're facing with the size of our city that we operate in, but everybody deserves a seat at the table, no doubt about that. Okay, let's see here. If there's no other questions, I'm going to move on to one of our big goals for the community team this year. Lakeisha, I see your hand is up. What's up, Lakeisha?
Yeah, I just had a suggestion maybe too for global conference with the directors retreat. If there could be some type of info or session about how to access tech because like Memphis isn't a tech city. So we don't have a ton of accelerators or anything like that. Like we really only have one. And so, you know, I have to build my chapter more so to expose entrepreneurs and gradually insert some tech entrepreneurs, but we just don't have that sort of, you know, we don't have a whole bunch to choose from or high profile companies. So I would love some information on how, you know, how do you do that? How do you integrate tech in a non-tech city?
I think that's a great idea. Maybe we can get that as one of our sessions, our topics that we talk about during the Director Summit. Noted, definitely noted for our community team to think about. Thank you. Okay, everybody looks solid. I'm gonna move on. Okay, so this year we've just crossed the 400 chapter mark. So Startup Grind has actually over 430 active, healthy, kick-ass chapters around the world. But that's not enough. We are trying to get to 600 by the end of the year. And so us, Bruce, G, myself, Yella, we are in a heavy, heavy growth mode, reaching out to old Startup Grind chapters and cities that were like, wait, these are amazing cities. Why do we not have a chapter or a presence there? So we'd love to elicit the help of you guys. You guys are very connected people with strong networks. And so I'm going to share a link with you of chapters cities that we're definitely interested in having a presence in that we don't have one now. But if you know of people that are just kicking butt somewhere else and they're not on our list, we would love for you to point those people in our direction. So new chapter goals. That's our list. For me, I'm focused on our region, Americas, Canada, and South America. So yeah, take a look at that. If you know anybody, please reach out to them. Please connect us with them. And feel free to share this link where they can apply. Later, G. Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Have fun. Bye.
Peace, G.
Okay, so that's our big. Yes.
Candace, this is Chris. Yeah. Could I ask a question?
Of course.
All right. One of the things that I have noticed is we keep growing and we're growing significantly. But the published statistics about how large we are in terms of the number of community members, the number of chapters, and the number of countries never seems, what's printed on the website and in our communications never seems to jive with the information that we as chapter directors are given. And when I stand up in front of my chapter and say, hey, we've got 430 chapters in XYZ, countries, but then somebody goes out to the website and they only see, 400 or 250 chapters, it makes, there's a disconnect there. And I was going to ask if somebody could keep the global information more up to date on the global website, because I think that in and of itself creates some excitement, and to have that disconnect just makes us look a little bad.
Good point. Very good point. We are in the middle of redoing our whole website, actually, the whole Startup Grind website.
Okay.
So it's a little bit off the radar right now, but you're absolutely right. These are things we're talking about at the headquarters team level, but we definitely need to be updating with you guys and on our material. Solid point, Chris. Well, now you can tell people 4:30.
Yep.
Yes, Pablo, what is up?
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
just to build up. Hey, how are you guys? Just to build up to that point, I think this is not just about the final numbers for chapters and cities and countries, but we have been dealing with a misinformation around chapters of what we are specifically. We usually have we educate, inspire, and connect entrepreneurs. Last year at the global conference, we talked a little bit about how that is changing a little bit, especially the inspiration part for most of the world. So I think maybe not now, but would be a great subject to work in Next Global, to have the same message across every chapter. I heard some valid points around not all the cities are building up around tech entrepreneurs. So we should have that under consideration. But at the end, it would be great if we can like create a final message that every chapter feels good about it and can come across every chapter as the same. I don't know if it's mission, but at least the same final action or final goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something that we could work on next Director Summit.
Cool. Noted. So our mission still is to educate, inspire, and connect entrepreneurs. That's still consistent. That's still what we're preaching. But having a conversation about that as a community at the Director Summit is a super valid point. What we want to do, just so you guys are aware, we really want to get to growth by the end of this year. And so 2018 is focused on growth, and then 2019 is really going to be focused on quality. So how do we need to support you guys? And you've seen, if you're on the Slack, you've seen a little bit about that we're going to expand with workshops for our chapters that are crushing it month over month. We're going to be offering different event formats. And we're also exploring with some other things that are a little early to share now, but different ways that we want to leverage the community and connect the community more than we have been now. So more to come on all of that at Global. But for now, it's definitely growth mode. Sylvia, I see your hand raised.
I just wanted to say, here in Ecuador, for example, we only have startup grind in 2 cities, in Quito and in Guayaquil. And I know that you guys measure the city overpopulation too, but we actually do have a couple of cities that I think would be very interesting. And I think I talked, I already talked to
Christy?
Yeah, sorry. I did talk to Christy at one point about this, but she also suggested that the chapter grew a little bit more, which it has. And the thing is, I think it would be cool if we could at least visit other, this is the only way I can figure this out today. But I think it would be really cool if we could visit other cities and like have a startup grind event there so that they can feel comfortable enough with the chapter and maybe have someone, to come up and become a director. Especially because Ecuador is a small country, so it's so easy for us to go 3 hours one way or 3 hours the other way and get everybody hyped up about it. In some cities like Cuenca and Machala, for example, I know you guys don't know the names, but people are really getting hyped up about entrepreneurship and they're trying to create new things. And I think that there would be a really nice opportunity to visit those cities.
Let me see if I'm following. So what you're saying is that the Startup Grind Guayaquil chapter would go and visit other smaller cities to kind of spread the Startup Grind mission and get those people to start a chapter themselves?
Right. We would run an event there, and through that event, have them motivated to have someone come up and, because I know it's a voluntary thing. Somebody has to come up and say, yeah, I'll do that. But I think it would be it really would get people hyped up about it and interested.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, granted, you want to make sure you're still having your events in Guayaquil on a regular basis. But every once in a while to go somewhere else, I think that's a lovely idea. I mean, for our Startup Grind X chapters, that's any city that's smaller than 300,000. So some of the cities that apply that we accept have like 20,000 people. And that's fine. They just have to have 5 events a year versus, the Startup Grind Classic chapters that have to have at least 10 events a year. So there's really no limit of how small that city should be. It's never too small.
I really think that would be a great opportunity for growth in Ecuador. And I think it would do, it would do a really good thing for Ecuador to have an entrepreneurship ecosystem that it's really together and it's not so just everybody doing everything on a side.
That's brilliant.
So I'll try to see how I can make that happen.
We love we want to do more experimentation. actually. So if you want to run with that this year, the next couple months, and try it a few times, feel free to do that, and then come back and let us know, and we can help, spread the word in the community.
I will, 'cause I love
Thank you, Sonia. Great idea. Bruno's doing this. So Bruno came back, and he's in Brazil. He runs a few chapters in Brazil. And he said, look, there's a lot of growth in Brazil, but our chapters are not connected with one another. And so we've really looked at Bruno to be, hey, please connect your country, all of your startup grind countrymen that are trying to crush it in Brazil. So Bruno's running with that and is letting us know how that's going to work out.
Oh, cool.
We are trying to integrate the chapters, the smaller and the biggest chapters, like Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. I'm talking. I'm so close with the chapter of Rio de Janeiro, because we have to push this, because we are the highest chapter. So we believe that we have to push the others in the same plate, to integrate like a federation, like something like that, to work together, because we are the same brand, we are the same company. Don't make sense everybody doing their job by themselves. So we are trying to improve this. We already put about 6 chapters on the same group. We already talking about it to pay some people for the marketing, digital marketing. We are trying to with a little bit money, put pieces that we can have like a volunteer. In Brazil, people don't like a lot to be a volunteer. Isn't easy. Show me the money. So we are trying to help together. To do this and try to get sponsorship too, local sponsorship.
Nice.
To help us to do the stuffs and increase the community.
So I'll just briefly share one more thing about this, and then we should move on. But one of the things Bruno's trying right now, he came to us at headquarters and said, hey, how about connecting high school students? Getting those, not just college students, but getting the high school students involved. And so we said, experiment, see what that's like. Start inviting those high school students to your events, or maybe hold one of your startup grind events at the high school, but invite other types of people to be there. So Bruno's just getting this started. We're going to have him try it for a few months and see what that's like. But that's the kind of lean experimentation model. We are open to you guys trying, as long as you talk with us about it first. Don't go rogue, please. But, we are open to what that experimentation should look like. Thanks, Bruno. Jason, I see your hand is raised. Wait a second. I just muted you, Jason. Hold on. Okay, sorry. You're good.
Thanks. Yeah, so one of the ideas sort of around this, my partner and I had been talking about, or right now, like I just took over Boston, trying to grow that community, but we were thinking, there's like some larger communities in the suburbs around here as well, and we were thinking it might be possible to do a Boston or Cambridge based event every month, but also build in, whether it's part of the Boston chapter or like its own separate portion, a area for events in the suburbs for people in that community to come out to. So do you recommend doing that, or like other cities that are looking into this, like as part of the same chapter, or one of these like extension?
Yeah, so for some of our chapter directors that have been in the family for a while and have consistently shown that they can crush it and have consistent events, they're getting great turnout, we can rely on them as a steady chapter director. Then we open up the possibility, we're just experimenting with this now, to run multiple chapters. Okay. So that is an idea, but no offense, you're still early.
Yeah, no, just for down the road, but yeah.
Something to think about. And then another thing is, I don't think there's anything wrong that if most of your events are in Boston proper regularly, but every now and then you go out to one of the suburbs,
right,
or one of the other areas, and try to connect more people in the Boston area, greater area, metro area, to the community. I think that's a solid thing to experiment with.
Okay.
The only thing in the East Coast is that there's a lot of you guys close together. So there may be our guidance for chapters is like they have to be like 30 miles away or 30
Right.
minutes away, you know. So just take a look maybe at our chapters list, startupgrind.com/chapters, and just make sure there's not another chapter in that area or partner with that chapter.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Pablo, I saw that hand up in the air.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I'm sorry that Tom had to left, but around building like a partnership with chapters in the country, it's funny because we did that exactly when the country managers appear and then the regional managers appear and now they're gone. But
Yeah.
there are a couple of things that work there in our experience. The first of all is selling national sponsorships. It's very, very easy in terms of selling like a very citywide sponsorship. If you are not in one of the biggest cities, then it's much, much easier. We worked in Brazil when we were region with Papo at Google, and he sponsored a couple of things for us around there. It was much, much easier to sell to Google some things when we were like operating with the power of building partnerships through Mexico City, Buenos Aires, and Rio, and sometimes Chile and sometimes Peru. So the findings are already, it's great that people is trying to do it again, but there's a lot of information, a lot of findings. We already did it. So I don't know if we are reinventing the wheel at some point there. Brazil is an amazing country to work as a whole country. That's why we didn't took it as a region when we built Latin American region, because they operate somehow in different rules. But I'm sure Brazil needs to have like a country direction. I don't know if it's management or not, but at least a country representation. We have stopped almost everything with Google around Latin America because it's very inefficient to try to build it citywide. It's not working. We still do some things in Mexico City, but even though Mexico City is huge, it's not huge enough for them to build a stronger partnership regional-wise. And the final thought is one of the things that we have been working in Mexico as a country when we were like country managers is 3 things that we can collaborate with us having to take a lot of things. One is sharing speakers. If you want to get a big speaker from the country and you offer him or her to speak in 4 or 5 cities, that almost every time it's going to work. We also sold the sponsors as a tour. So imagine one of your top startups are launching a new product. So you sell a $10,000 of sponsorship and you offer them to speak the same month in 5 cities. From the PR point of view, that's pretty cheap, and it's amazing, and they will think about it. So we can share all these findings. Like we have been working on that for several years, maybe at least 3 years. So something like that.
That's a great point. The difference is, and we have changed from that model. So we used to have regional directors and we don't have that anymore. And we don't want to have that anymore. And we don't want to have a country director. So what we would like it to be is flat. Startup Grind is flat. There's headquarters and you have your community managers, which is Bruce, Yella, and I. And we're hiring a 4th right now to replace Jan and APAC. But we want it to be flat. You know, this isn't a hierarchy in Startup Grind. It's really partnerships and alignment. So for instance, whether it's in Mexico, you know, all the country or chapters in Mexico, if you guys are aligned, that just helps what you're doing. I know Jose Betancourt has been amazing because there's a lot of growth right now in Colombia. Jose has been one of our longtime chapter directors in Medellin, Colombia. But he's partnering with the new guys in Barranquilla. Jose, I'm actually going to introduce you to somebody else that I just joined the community today from Universidad de Magdalena. So I do think there's a lot of power in communication, being on the same page with sponsors and speakers, and help you guys do less work, basically, for a bigger impact.
Yeah. Just my final comment on that subject is, for instance, I met with Selena, which is like this co-working space growing globally, much more oriented on tourist destinations and everything, but they want to do a regional partner. They now have a lot of not chapters, but locations in Central America, having to set up a call with maybe 15 directors for all of them to speak with the CEO of Selena, which lives in Israel, and try to figure a way of partner, like that's not going to happen. Like I'm not even willing to do it because it's impossible. So I just want to work on some mechanism in which we can deliver partnerships at a regional level without the need of having a regional manager.
I think talk to me about that. Let's talk about that afterwards, because it might be, there's some opportunities that we could do at a headquarters level to help support that.
Cool, perfect.
Cool. Any other, Bruno? You're still muted. Hold on. Okay, you should be good to go.
Okay, I'm trying to do something different here in Brazil too, like a media partner. I'm inviting LinkedIn members, top LinkedIn members, to be like an ambassador. You know, I give them some tickets. You know, and they put on they make a post. You know, with the arts that I send to these persons. And they accelerate the media, you know. So this is other movement that it's very easy to find the people that are a good LinkedIn influencer, you know, something like that in the entrepreneur area, and engage more, you know, the ecosystem. I'm trying to do this, and until now it's good, and it's easy.
Good and easy. That's a perfect combination.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Bruno. Okay, so the next thing I want to tell you guys about, this is part of, this is a big change at Startup Grind. It's our startup program. So every year, as part of our global conference and our European conference, we have the startup program where we like to tap into our directors to help get access to amazing startups around the world that can apply to be part of the startup program. So for the global conference in February, we take about 300 startups. Over 1,000 apply, around 300 are accepted. It's about half of that in London, typically around 150 startups, 100 to 150. So please start thinking of startups in your region that might be interested or might be a good fit. We have kind of two types of startups that can apply. Grinders are startups that have raised less than 3 million. Growth startups are those that have raised over 3 million. And then as they get to exhibit during the global conference, we do facilitate some meetings with mentors and VCs and corporate partners that are interested in specific startups. And then the top 50 at both conferences get to apply to the Accelerate program. And that's where whoever the top 50 are, they get a lot more support from Startup Grind Global in terms of connecting them to clients, VCs, funding opportunities, and mentors. So our new a new member on the team is Alex Gordon First. Some of you may have seen him on our Slack or newsletter correspondence or had the opportunity to talk to him. He's having a webinar this Friday. I'm going to share the link with you guys. If any of you are interested in learning more about the startup program in particular, all the details will be during that webinar on Friday with Alex. Any questions about that? Okay. The next thing I want to tell you guys about is that a few just global opportunities that we're aware of with either our GFE partners or our partners that aren't GFE, but some emerging opportunities for your regions. So the Estonia E-Residency program. So at the London conference, we had Estonia speak, the country. They talked about all the really innovative things that they're doing to support entrepreneurship and innovation for startups within Estonia. So the link for this, if you are interested in applying or learning more, all the details are on here. But essentially what it allows, if you're interested in going or expanding your startup or startups in your community, if they're interested in expanding into the European market, this can make it a lot easier for them to do that. And they can take advantage of some of the tax breaks and visa breaks. You can't live there. You kind of have to apply to be an E-resident, and then once you're an E-resident, you can apply to, file your business there. So really innovative program. That if you're, lots of details right in this link that you can learn about. Greg, what's up?
Do you think they would like some help on that too, Startup Grant? Because I used to live in Germany. I know how to incorporate in the German market. So I know that market very well. I don't know if I could help somehow. If not, I'm happy to suggest startups, or I'll leave it at that.
Well, this one's just in Estonia, but that could be
Okay.
interesting if people want to apply to start a company in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that from anywhere around the world, or do you have to live there?
You usually have to have residence there, obviously, but you can incorporate with specific companies, kind of like how they can incorporate here in the U.S., as long as they can open up a bank account and have proof of insurance if they're going to hire somebody within that market. But okay, so it's more or less kind of a thing where you can start it and not have to be physically there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that probably won't work then.
Thanks, though.
All good. Thank you.
Pablo, what's up?
Very fast. I was going. I was going through the chapter that it's like priority view, and I have a couple of comments. I think the chapters listed for Latin America are chapters that we used to have but no longer have, which I don't think that means that like very strategic cities. I love that we have a top 30 Havana, Cuba, but I think we also have like maybe 5 chapters in Latin America that we should be pursuing proactively and are not in the list.
Please send them to me.
Okay.
Yeah. This is non-exhaustive. It's a start. It's just a start. Yeah, definitely. For all of you guys, if there's cities you're like, what? Startup Grind needs to have a presence there. Absolutely. Send that over. And then if you know anybody, that'd be even better. You can connect us to that person.
You can set up the chapter and everything, though.
Thanks for that, Pablo. Okay, a few other opportunities. So I'm just going to share. Whenever you see, I don't know how many of you guys go to our GFE partners page on help.startupgrind.com. We have like a whole partners page where you can see about different partners that are part of Startup Grind, and a lot of them are with Google for Entrepreneurs, and then there's a few of them that are not, but are definitely opportunities your cities, your regions can take advantage of. So I just want to send you those links. Google for Entrepreneur partner opportunities. And this is really one of the benefits of being part of Startup Grind for your regions, is that then you can be aware of these up and coming programs and opportunities that your startups can apply to be a part of, and get them out of just, your region. So take a look at those. A few that are live right now. There's the Global Black Box opportunity that's coming up. I think actually the deadline's today. Wow. Hold on. I almost closed this whole meeting, guys. Sorry. Wow. Let me find this really quick. Okay, so the Black Box Connect, this is for, it's an intensive residential experience in the heart of San Francisco. You can apply, but I actually think the deadline might be today, so I'm sorry about this, but hopefully you guys saw it. You saw it in Slack. And then there's 2 other ones. One is one's in Africa. This is really for sub-Saharan African countries and startups, but if you are interested, I can share that one with you. And there's another one in Asia. It's all about AI. So I'm just going to share these up and coming ones with you guys too. Competitions that you can get access to. Here we go. Any questions on those opportunities that are coming up? Okay. So lastly, any other questions from you guys burning questions you've had that you want to get answered? Help that you need. things you're running into.
It's very nice this simulating on the newsletters about these opportunities. So I just want to simulate to do this more, you know, because these are advantages for our community or for us, you know. So it's a very competitive differential, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's nice. It's nice.
Cool. Glad that's helping, and we'll continue to send them out as soon as those opportunities come up. Sure.
Nice.
What's up, Chris?
Question about the Bevy platform. I participated in a couple of focus groups put on earlier this year. And apparently, you know, Bevy's just raised a, you know, new Series A, and apparently there are going to be some pretty interesting expansions of Bevy.
Yeah.
One of the problems that we suffer with here is the highly limited capacity of our newsletters.
Yes, we're aware of that problem.
And, I mean, sorry, it sucks. No two ways about it.
Sure.
We have so much good information we want to share with the community, but we can't do it in 3,000 characters or less. What's the rollout schedule of some kind of a new, improved, updated newsletter email communication system?
I don't know. I can ask our developers. Honestly, the development team is completely separate from Startup Grind. They work for Bevy, so it's not the Startup Grind team.
Okay. Well, I'm bitching about it. How's that? So.
We know, because you've been bitching about it for a while, actually. Bruce, do you want to chime in?
Hi, guys. So in addition to being community manager, I have a tech company. I come from a tech background. So I've been trying to kind of help the other community managers and stuff deal with Bevy from a technical aspect. So I have a little bit of insight into this. As of late, we've basically been compiling a list of feature requests as well as like serious bugs that are causing issues. And so basically we've been sitting with them trying to compile a list and then prioritizing and trying to kind of smash out a couple of categories at once. So we'll fix one big bug, do one minor improvement, one new feature, and we're trying to roll it out in a kind of step-by-step process. So things are happening. We're trying to do the smaller new features first, just so that we can add value, so you can actually see that there's growth. Redevelopment of the newsletter, for example, is something that's going to take a bit more time, has to be tested a lot more thoroughly, because you've got to bear in mind these days, you've got to think of how they display in all the different emails on all the different operating systems, mobile responsiveness. So the email newsletters to get right takes a lot more time and development than some of the other quick win, features.
Sure.
So it's definitely, it's on the list. We know about it, but we're just trying to prioritize to get as many of the bugs squashed so that you guys can actually use the system as it stands. Give you a few features that you can actually, make use of now. And then we've set a roadmap for the bigger features that we know you guys definitely want and need. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah. The one of the things that's been awesome to have Bruce on the team, because Yella and I don't have a tech background. So Bruce has been a lifesaver, and G, obviously. The thing about Bevy is, you're absolutely right, Chris. They are growing a lot. And so they have some really big clients in addition to Startup Grind, like Salesforce, like Duolingo. And so we are, our community is really important to us, all of you guys, and making sure that the product works for you. So please know we are doing our best to make sure they continue to focus on us, to not forget the community that started it all,
Yeah.
But thanks for that.
The other question I had, which I know goes back a while, and that is what appears to be the complete disconnect between our communities as they exist on our global platform. And then we've got the separate community that exists on Meetup. And the two don't tie together at all. And it really becomes a pain in the posterior, communicating across two platforms that And I know we've done some integration work to get those two more connected, but it's hard for me to continue to justify having two separate communities sitting there. How do we, is anybody else experiencing that problem? And what have people done to help better integrate the two across the platform so that we don't have two completely different populations?
You know, I probably shouldn't say this, but I found it to be totally true myself. You know, I still manage my chapter in Dayton, Ohio. I've managed it for the past 3 years and have struggled with the same issue.
I got you. So I'm throwing it out there that, hey, it's, you know, it's still, well,
yeah.
you know, and I know. So
Let's bring Bruce in. Let's see what Bruce has to say. Help us, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce.
Hi, guys. Sorry, me again. I'm just as frustrated. So one of the things that are in that features pipeline, like one of the features we want to work on, is a better sync between Bevy and Meetup.
Okay.
One of the problems, because I mean, publishing the event and canceling the event, that integration's done. But obviously we need some kind of a sync between the memberships on the one platform and the other. The problem that we run into now, and the reason why we need to be considerate about this and think about it and plan it, is because of the new GDPR and rights issues that have erupted in Europe. When someone signs up through Meetup, but they aren't necessarily on our system, we don't really have the right to automatically pull them into Bevy. So there's legal implications as well as logistical implications that we are busy looking at to make sure that, one, we don't build something that's highly illegal and gets us shut down in Europe, but also gets you guys the features you need. So it is something that is on our feature list. We are aware of it, and we've got lawyers looking at it. We've got engineers looking at it. We've got every Tom, Dick, and Harry that possible looking at it. We're aware. Unfortunately, these things take time, but I promise you, we're trying our best. We're going to try to get it as connected as possible.
Thanks, Bruce. I see Lakeisha, your hand is raised. Go for it.
Hi. Yeah, I totally feel Chris about Meetup. Some of it for me is the aesthetic of it. So when an event posts from the Startup Grind website and it publishes on Meetup, the aesthetic looks totally different. And I mean, I know that there's like tiny URLs and stuff, but even with the way that the URL looks, like it takes away the clean feeling. And sometimes I feel like too, if people aren't subscribed to organizer messages, or if we can't see, which is not necessarily a Startup Grind issue, but if we can't see like who gets our messages and things like that, then it feels like you're just shooting in the dark to even send a message. So, because I had people sign up all the time, but no one really interacts. And so I've been like driving myself crazy trying to figure out, how do I get people to actually click on an event or to post in a discussion or anything. So I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it as well.
Thanks for sharing that, Lakeisha, and appreciate your creativity and how to leverage the tool as, unideal it is at this moment. In Dayton, I completely ignore Meetup. I probably shouldn't do that. I probably shouldn't say that. I never focus on it. I just focus on get the main event out, the main event page. That's where people register. That's where people have to go to sign up. That's where I communicate with the Startup Grind Dayton family. I would, I saw your comment in the chat, Lakeisha, that you want it to be more integrated with LinkedIn. I would push LinkedIn. If LinkedIn's working for you, push your events on there. One thing I do after my events, for the most part, but not every time, is do a LinkedIn blog post to be like, what were the highlights of this event? That really helps. So I know that there's some thorns in some of our systems now, and we are, as Bruce said, we are trying to work through these, but they take time. And that's where you guys can get creative about finding those other platforms, social media and otherwise, where it will work for your community and where you can connect to your community. Okay, it's 1 o'clock, so I'm going to be respectful of all of your guys' time. Thank you. This has been a really full one. Thanks for all of your thoughts. Mark your calendar for Tuesday, September 25th. That will be our next September office hours call for the Americas. Otherwise, if you guys have any questions about anything, go to, always email forward@startupgrind.com, and one of us will be there to help you. Keep kicking butt, guys. Keep grinding. Bye.